Hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. As Calliope said, this session is being recorded, and we would like to welcome you to this webinar hosted and organized by ReSilence team. My name is Nefeli Georgakopoulou. I am from S+T+ARTS, the coordinator for ReSilence. And today I will be the moderator of this session, and I will also give you a short presentation of the ReSilence project. After that, we will guide you through the technologies and facilities that ReSilence will provide to the successful applicants. Then we will move forward to a presentation of past residents, Hasib Ahmed and Emmanuel van der Orera, who will talk about their experience and provide useful information to you. And we will close with a short presentation of the application process. And at the end, if you have questions, we have this Q&A session where we can answer them. And of course, during the presentations, if you like and if you have questions, you can share them in the chat, or at the end you can raise your hand and we will give you the floor. Let's start with the ReSilence presentation and a short intro to what S+T+ARTS is. As you may know, or you have noticed, that ReSilence is a part of the S+T+ARTS initiative, which is an initiative of the European Commission and focuses on artistic practice as an innovation process with wide-reaching potential for developing new economic, social, and business models, and forms a nexus with an extraordinary high potential for creative and reflective innovation. S+T+ARTS have different pillars. It has the S+TARTS Prize, the residencies, the regional centers, thematic pilots, academies, and digital innovation hubs. ReSilence is thematic, it's part of the thematic pilots, and we will grant S+TARTS residencies, which support this cooperation between science or technology projects and artistic proposals, contributing to highlight interesting use cases. ReSilence is a 3-year project. It started on September 2022, and it will end on August 2025. We are 10 partners from 7 countries, S+T+ARTS, which is the coordinator, Maastricht University, Max Planck Institute, University Pompeu Fabra, University of Genova, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, Maurice Benayoun, We Sound, and the Thessaloniki Music Hall, and we also have the University of Hong Kong as an associate partner. ReSilence is about sound, as the name says, as an intersection between space and people, and focuses on this ever-changing environment and experiences that sound creates. Its main goals is to explore the borders between sound and silence in a changing world by producing acoustic awareness in urban spaces, to create new types of sonic urban experiences that expand possibilities for accessibility, active participation, sustainability, and social inclusion, and build trust around AI and XR technologies. Inspired by the way some artists have systematically used new technologies to interact with the sound of cities, and as the city has become the generator of very large data sets for being smarter and greener, ReSilence tries to turn this attention to the social and human experiential dimensions of these data sets in order to make citizens more creative and aware of their surroundings, while improving quality of life through the consideration of noise, sound, and silence. At the same time, ReSilence tries to reveal the intersection between architecture, our bodies, and sound, as some artists have already done years now, and will give through this residency access to artists to AI and XR technologies in order to explore these relations. So as part of the resilience activities, we have the launching of the open call in order to support these art-driven experiments. And during these residencies, artists will interact with the consortium partners in order to reflect on novel uses of AI and XR technologies, as well as their impact on society. What is really important through these collaborations is also to ensure that the development process and system behavior of this technologies explicitly acknowledge human values and needs. Regarding some more research and technological objectives, ReSilence will develop AI-based methods for real-time interaction, soundscape analysis, sound-to-image generator, and vice versa. We'll try to achieve a novel understanding of the human perception in relation to sound and his environments, and develop multisensory experiences in XR environments for acoustic and soundscape simulation, inclusivity, accessibility, public participation, among others. We have 4 main challenges in 4 different use cases where artists can develop their ideas. So the first challenge in this first use case, we invite artists to experiment with the spaces, contents, and formats of concerts to find novel ways to increase audience participation and enhance their experience both on-site and remote, because concerts are so much more than just the music they feature. The challenge is to discover how technologies such as XR or direct feedback can help to generate new forms of audience participation, which are not only passive, but also active, not only real, but also virtual, and not only time, space bound, but also time, space free. Applicants may focus on designing musical performances, as well as interactive performative spaces and environments, both physical and XR enhanced. The second challenge is about sound and mobility. Electric cars are introducing a new silence in the city, and nowadays the car may become a very versatile, sentient instrument, simultaneously receiver, interpreter, environmental reader, and a full musical dashboard. So the question is how we can design the interior or exterior car sound as a combination of ambience and an audio interface in order to improve security and quality experience in mobility. The third challenge is about the sound of urban spaces. One aspect affecting the quality of urban life is the sound. So analogous to visual city planning, a soundscape approach can be applied in order to analyze the form and sound of existing spaces, measure its quality and effects on citizens. So the question here is how we can reframe sound as a resource while designing spaces. And the last challenge has to do with the exploration of the city life from the perspective that sound can be a full body experience. And here we try to achieve a new way of hearing through wearables and haptics, or a new ways of seeing through sonification. Thank you very much. That was from my side. Observing. Now we're going to continue with the presentations of each partner and the technologies and the research that they're conducting. And I will give the floor to Melanie from Max Planck Institute. Hello, Melanie.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure now to introduce my institute, my team, and our facilities to you. I need 1 second to start the presentation. Here it is. So you should see it. If not, please tell me. The Max Planck Institute for Empirical Aesthetics is an independent research institute in Frankfurt in Germany. It's one of more than 80 institutes under the umbrella of the Max Planck Society, which is Germany's organization for basic research. So we're not a university, we're an independent research institute. Our institute has several departments. One of them is the music departments, research groups. Most importantly, we also have an artist in residence program. So we have some experiences in working together with artists of all sorts. The main research focus of the institute is that we study the aesthetic perception, experience, and judgment. And in the case of the music department, we have research areas or topics like musical taste and development. But one of them, and this is of relevance for today in this project, is that we do extensive studies on music experiences in live performances, be that classical concerts, concerts in India or West Africa, and other types of musical live performances. We have several laboratories in our institute, but I will show you only one because I think that is the most relevant for our joint endeavor. And by now you can already tell that me and my institute would be a potential partner for you if you're interested in that use case one, the musical experience design. So what you see here is our art lab, which is a hybrid between a performance space, a live performance space, and a lab space, where we have up to 50 seats in the audience, where we can stage live performances and at the same time study the audience experience, but also the behavior and the experiences of the musicians. And with these little icons, I want to give you an impression of the types of data we typically collect. So we ask musicians or audiences to give self-reports about their perception, experience, and evaluation. We also conduct more in-depth interviews with individual participants. Then we have facilities to record their physiological responses, such as their heart activity, their breathing activity, or something like skin conductance. And we also can do audio and video recordings of everything that is happening here. So what you see here, for instance, is footage of a performance with Frankfurt's Ensemble Modern. Here you see the audiences that have tablets, computers, in order to give self-reports. On the next slide, you see one person hooked up with this mobile measurement device to get physiological responses, and a colleague who monitors what comes in. Here you see this a bit more closely. These are sensors attached to the finger to measure skin conductance. Here are some photos from a very large experiment we did together with several other partners, from artistic and scientific partners. So you see here we equipped an entire concert hall with these physiological measurement devices. Audience participants entered the concert hall. They reported again on tablet computers about their prior experiences, their expectancies, and after the concert about their experience. Then in the concert hall, we put the measurement devices on them and recorded all types of data. And the main idea was, and this is what I can show you here, some examples of our previous research projects in that context of studying experience in live performances. For instance, in that project, we were interested in concrete effects of concert formats on the music experience. And here we did 11 different experimental concerts that different, not in the terms of the music they were featuring, this is the lineup of these concerts, but in the format aspects. We also did study where we compared the experience in a live concert and in a public stream of that very same concert that was streamed to a different room in the same space. We also did some studies regarding music experience in concert streams, which was, of course, super relevant during the pandemic and might be relevant in the future as well. Or we can study synchronization of audiences during concert, for instance. What you see here is a plot that shows you behavioral synchronization, connections between individual audience members sitting on their seats. Here is, just as an example, a graph that shows you different reactions of facial muscles to different pieces from different composers. And you see that this was a contemporary piece that looked different from a classical and a romantic piece. And here's a very brief example of an output or result of our study on stream experiences here. Well, these are 4 different types of streams. One stream gave the audience the opportunity to interact online virtually with each other, and the stream led to a higher degree of social experiences despite people sitting at home alone. So in that sense, this is the facilities and the prior experiences we could offer you for your artistic projects. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Melanie. Let's move forward to the Maastricht University presentation.
Nefeli, you have my slides, huh?
Yes, yes, we'll show them.
Okay. All right. I'll continue presenting first very quickly the kind of work we do, and then the kind of facilities we offer. We offer for collaboration. We don't work on aesthetics or on art experience per se, different from Melanie you just heard. The lab is, but we have been partner in a couple of artist residences over the last 10 years. Maybe Antonio is going to show pictures of that. This is the group. Go to the next one. Okay, so we have a bunch of things. Can you stop for a minute, Nefeli? I was going to talk a little bit about, very briefly, about the kind of problems we address. So basically, we work on face perception, on body perception, and on voice perception. And sometimes we work on a combination of face plus voice, face plus body, voice plus body, things like that. So basically, this means that we are focusing on the experience people have when perceiving faces, bodies, and voices. So that is, of course, related to emotion, to the emotional subjective experience, but we are not like a typical emotion lab, because we are really more interested in all sorts of basic processes of information processing, and we combine our research with these different methods. We in Maastricht, we are particularly well equipped concerning brain scanning. You see there we have a good 3 Tesla and a much more sophisticated 7 Tesla scanner. We also have a 9.4 scanner, but that's not on the picture here. And I'm not sure you want to be in that for now. We use EEG, as you have already seen in the slides before. We also use TMS, which is a method to block certain brain areas to study the effect of blockage of certain areas on the rest of performance, of processing. We use another physiological technique, a stimulation technique that's probably less relevant here. And quite importantly, we do, the last couple of years, we have been doing a lot of virtual reality experiments, because they of course offer incredibly realistic, virtual but still realistic possibilities for studying social interactions, which you cannot create normally in the laboratory. So we are focused on sort of naturalistic, ecological experiments, and paradoxical as it may seem, we use virtual reality for that. We combine virtual reality with the EEG, for example, and we do virtual reality studies in the 3 Tesla scanner. So in previous, just as you may hear from one of the former residents who will briefly talk, Emmanuel van der Auwera, we work on, or maybe you can go to the next slide. Yes, so that gives a pretty clear view. What we do, one line of research, which we are very active in, is doing computational analysis of the face and of the body, and to see how the brain actually away from the plain everyday perception, plain everyday descriptions of perception, we try to combine computational analysis of the input. As you see on the right side, the input is a body. We analyze it computationally to see what are the properties of the movement. And of course, you can do that with daily expressions, as you see here in the top one, daily expressions of anger, or the bottom one of fear, but with any kind of experiences. What is the body posture when somebody stands in front of a painting? What is people's body posture when they listen to a concert, and things like that? Okay. Here you see a couple of illustrations of the work we do in where we use virtual reality. We usually have partners that we collaborate with to create virtual reality scenarios, which can be pretty much anything, of course. And in doing that, we use a method which is called virtual embodiment, whereby we create a very tight relation between you and the avatar that you are going to see. Sometimes that avatar is actually an avatar of yourself. So you see yourself as your person with your personal identity in the virtual reality, which leads to a much more intense and specific experience that we can measure in virtual reality. I did not on this slide measure various physiological reactions, the ones like Melanie talked about, heart rate, skin conductance, etc. That is, of course, part of the other methods we use. Okay, that's very good. Oh, I should mention, of course, that we work with various patient groups. We work with patients that have brain damage following stroke. We have in the past worked with schizophrenic populations and autistic populations, but also we work with sensory deprived people, like mainly like people with congenital blindness, which of course then brings us back to some of the partners who work on tactile experience. And I would actually, Nefeli, at this point, before we forget this, there may of course be mixtures between the different user topics. Like yes. The one I bring out now, the one I just mentioned combines number 4, which is about sensory deprivation, and number 1, which is about music.
Yes.
So that's something to keep in mind when people have questions about that in the past. Okay, over to the next.
Thanks a lot, Beatrice. We will move forward to the presentation of the Thessaloniki concert hall.
Yes. Hello, Nefeli. You have my slides, or should I share my screen?
I can share it.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to say a few words about Thessaloniki Concert Hall. As its name says, it's a concert hall, a contemporary cultural and conference center of international standards, with a capacity to hold various events, including concerts, ballet, theater, opera, art expositions, and conferences. It was inaugurated on the 2nd of January 2000. It consists of 2 buildings built along the coast of the city of Thessaloniki. One building called Miena is harmonized with the Byzantine history of Thessaloniki, and the other one is completely different, with elements from Sinti's contemporary cosmopolitan role. There are 2 main halls, one of 1,400 seats and another one with 500 seats. There are also smaller spaces, foyers and conference rooms. Acoustical investigations were made for both of the main halls. The one was made in year 2002 for the Miena main hall, and the other in 2008 for the Mi-Vio main hall. These are the criteria that were used. And these are some measurement, some measurement criteria and results that led to the part that was to make the halls with the desired acoustical equipment. Yes, all these measurement results are in our disposal and can be used if desired for any kind of use during these performances. I don't know what else should I say, but this is more or less what our role is in this project. We are going to host some of the events that some of you are going to participate in. I think that was my brief presentation about the halls and the acoustical investigations that were made for these main halls in Thessaloniki Concert Hall.
Thank you, Professor. Thanks a lot. We will move forward to the presentation of Sir.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Martina Diolakosti. I am a member of SIR. The Center of Research and Technology was founded in 2000 and is the leading research center in Greece and in the EU. Climate change, sustainable energy, artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, Internet of Things, holistic approaches to healthcare and nutrition, etc., are some of the primal fields around which SIR's 5 institutes are organized. One of them is the Information Technologies Institute, which is one of the leading institutions of Greece in the fields of informatics, telematics, and telecommunications. This institute has 7 laboratories, which of one is that, is that of Multimedia Knowledge and Social Media Analytics Lab, which is led by Dr. Ioannis Kombatsiaris. The laboratory has extensive expertise and experience in various research areas, including semantic multimedia analysis, big data, and social media analytics, human-computer interaction. All of this with applications to various domains like digital media, health, security, environment, etc. The laboratory is comprised of 3 groups, one of which is the group our team is part of, that of Multimodal Data Fusion and Analytics Group, also known as M4D. M4D is led by Dr. Stefanos Brochidis, employs around 130 people, amongst them researchers, postdocs, research associates, developers, etc. The group has had a number of publications in journals, conferences, and books. It has worked on or is still working on in a variety of research projects, European or national. Some of them you can see in this slide, which have been delivered or are still ongoing. And our group had the role in this project, either that of a coordinator of or that of consortium member. In these projects, we have collaborated with a variety of partners from academia, industry, or government. M4D more specifically, develops cutting-edge research algorithms and novel solutions in the areas of multimodal data fusion, data mining, semantic web, big data, multimedia analysis and retrieval, and AI-based multimodal analytics in the domains of arts and media, health, security, environment, software infrastructure, etc. More specifically, in the context of STARTS projects, we have applied a number of methodologies. For example, multimodal analysis for efficient designing of indoors and urban spaces in order to improve design decisions by employing multisensory multimodal assessment of spaces imageability, by applying sentiment extraction on two-dimensional images, and semantic graphs informing adaptive designs in virtual reality environments. We also explore music to video and video to music transformations using artificial intelligence for designing musical experiences, electric vehicles, and urban environments, and tactile solutions for experiencing full body sound using sound classification algorithms. In the framework of this project, we intend to use technologies in the direction of the transformation of sound into image and vice versa. There is a variety of techniques that use conditional generative adversarial networks in this direction, which we plan to exploit in the context of ReSilence. We could leverage the power of deep generative adversarial training and use and adapt proposed GANs to achieve cross-modal audiovisual generation of sound or image. In regards to innovation challenges of tactile sound, what we aspire is to achieve a new way of hearing through wearables and haptics, by highlighting the importance of a full body approach to experiencing music and sound as opposed to engaging solely the ears. We also want to achieve new ways of seeing through sonification, as Nefeli has already mentioned. More specifically, we want to explore and implement wearables with the goal to translate musical and sound elements to a tactile level through the use of out-of-the-box products such as big haptics that we use here in SERT, or new ones that we can create together with the artists. We will try to extend the experience of listening to music and the city by making people feel the sound. The goal here is to transfer sound as an embodied experience when interacting with audiovisual representations of indoor and outdoor soundscapes. Here in SERT, we can also develop algorithms for converting sound features and musical structures into vibrotactile stimuli. Several solutions can be explored in order to feel sound, either through touch or hear it through bone conduction. Bone conduction is the conduction of sound in the inner ear, primarily through the bones of the skull, allowing the hearer to perceive audio content without blocking the ear canal. In this slide, you can see an example that of the work of Alessandro Perini. In his work, the audience could experience the sound through their bones and skin on their foreheads using tactile quadraphonic headphone set. That's all from SERT. Thank you very much. We welcome you to pose your questions in the chat or in the end of the presentations, which are going to be answered in the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Macrina. We can move forward with the presentation of University of Pompeu Fabra. Alex, hello.
Hello, everyone. Okay, perfect. So my name is Alex. I will present you what we do and what we have for you in Pompeu Fabra University in Barcelona. Yes, we are a young university, strongly positioned in both education and research. We are among top 20 young universities worldwide, and we are one of the best universities in Spain. Our team of about 20 members deals with language technologies, and the main areas of our interests lay in text analysis, text generation, summarization, information extraction, text simplification, multimodal interaction, and expressive speech generation. In ReSilence, we have two main tasks: sentiment analysis of social media posts and comments, and generation of textual reports on the user's musical and visual experience. With respect to use cases, we are going to help understand user preferences in music sector and user feelings regarding particular concepts or entities within performances and experiences. While with text generation, we will merge multimodal feedback into a textual outcome that is easy to perceive to assess the effect of artistic works. Professor Leo Wanner is principal investigator from UPF site in this project, and I'm the main contact, and many of our colleagues are involved. We're happy to help you for your individual tasks, depending on the expertise that you need. Regarding the components we can provide to you, we split them into two groups. One is related to text analysis and another to text generation. We have a comprehensive language analysis pipeline that can help in understanding texts in various languages. We separately distinguish concept extraction module, crucial in this project, that helps extracting entities and ideas and emotions associated to them. And we have pluggable lexical resources that can be expanded according to your needs. This slide shows an example of how we see an application of our technologies in this project. You have user comments on the performance uploaded to YouTube, for example. We extract concepts people discuss and feelings associated to them and construct a graph that you can see on the right bottom that helps you better understand your audience. Here you can briefly see how analysis results look like before being aggregated into a graph. Concepts are extracted. Some of them may have special types and associated emotions. Semantic parsing provides you with relations between these concepts, and emotional analysis shows when people feel sad, happy, displeasure, and so on. So here you can see examples of how you can access our components. It's either through demo or through API. That's just examples from some other project. And we can create simple visualizations of the phenomena you study, as we did in Mindspaces with an artist, Hasip Ahmed, who was interested in how concepts related to wind and air collocated in the space, and how emotional classes overlap and stay disjoint from each other. As for text generation, we have our main rule-based workbench and a suite of complementary neural network models. The generator can start with simple structures that you have to verbalize. It merges them, enriches with necessary semantics, syntactic, and morphological information, and results in a plain text. Just to provide you with a better idea, here is a generated report as it describes the place on the image as it was perceived by different artificial intelligence techniques of different modalities. And mainly we aim at dense informative texts in this case. As for complementary components, they can be used for artistic purposes to generate a text from structured information, where structure can be manipulated in one way or another. We can paraphrase texts to make them longer, shorter, richer, basically to meet closer the style you would like to end up with. And we also work with transformers like GPT models that continue in a free way a piece of text that you provide as an input. As for facilities, we can provide some space. We have a nice internal square where artistic installations take place from time to time. It has a beautiful historical building on one of the sites where the library is now located. And we also have a well noise isolated hall that makes it good for music experience. And we have soundproofed rooms for recordings and large meeting rooms where table layouts can be rearranged depending on your needs. Thank you very much. Here you can find our contacts. Happy to collaborate with you.
Thanks a lot, Alex. We will move forward with the presentation of WeSound.
Hello, everyone. I am Yannick from WeSound. I work in the Research and Development Department of WeSound. Can you see my presentation? Yeah.
Yes.
And to give you an idea who WeSound is, I start with the
W-E. W-E-S-O. W-E-S-O-U-N-D.
An audio agency based in Hamburg, and we mainly work in 4 core areas. The one is brand sound, so we work in giving your brands a sound identity. The other is intelligent sound applications. So we're working with AI, for example, for speech synthesis or for generative music composition and production. We're working in multimedia experiences, like for VR caves, the sound 3D sound systems, and we also do basic production for TV, cinema, music, advertising campaigns. And yes, this is our team here in the studio in Hamburg. And our facilities are 3 studios based in Hamburg. And we are working with different channel formats. So in studios here, you can work from mono to Dolby Atmos or third order ambisonics. And we have 3 rooms. And yeah, as you can see, a bit of analog and digital gear. Unfortunately, the VR cave our partners had in Berlin closed recently, so we cannot offer it anymore. If you had this in mind for your project, we are really sorry. But we have some more technologies to offer. We have a platform using 3D sound together with geospatial data. So what we did is basically creating a big database where you have your spatial audio and you can connect it to applications like Google Maps or Google Street View. So you can use Google Street View with a 3D sound from a certain area. We're also working with text-to-speech based on neural networks. This is a project we did experimenting with emotional speech synthesis. We were creating a text-to-speech synthesis system which works with 8 different emotions. And we're also experimenting with speech transfer. So you can transfer one speaker to another, and yes. And we have 3D recording technologies. On the left, you can see a microphone array with 8 microphones, high fidelity microphones. And in the middle, you can see a spherical microphone array, which has 19 channels, and you can record in ambisonics up to the 3rd order, and you can plug it directly into your MacBook or notebook and record via USB port. And also in the scope of this project, we are working on tools where we can implement visual models and 3D sound recordings to have it in 3D environments like Unity. So you can better analyze and have an understanding of the soundscape of the city. Yes, for more information, you can visit our website. That's from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yannick. We can move forward now with the presentation of Maurice.
So, okay, I have a kind of specific position in this project, as I'm more here as an individual working with teams and also working on curatorial projects. So I'm a kind of permanent artist on the project, trying to bring some inputs that may open new possibilities, because this is a philosophy of this European category of collaborative research. So I'm more specifically in charge because all partners are actually contributing to different work packages. And that's a good thing, because it's not only the diversity of inputs, but it's also the possibility to have different partners on one thing. And so the use case I'm working on is called the new silence. So I guess this is a time I should say something about that, because you have been you have been making an introduction about that. Okay, I will talk about that later. Can I? Okay, so what we have been doing mostly during the last 30 years, it's developing interactive installation for large-scale exhibition, indoor and urban media art, applied to cultural heritage in big monuments like the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, Abbaye de Fontevraud, Grand Palais, and so on. But also media facade, urban media art, including some installation. I will mention that briefly after. And also urban installations interacting with the public. I have been working also on many urban research projects like Terra Numerica and Terra Dinamica that were actually European projects, big ones actually. Yeah. And the Green Watch, about having a watch that can identify the pollution in the city for people using a bicycle or pedestrian, and something like that. So the technologies that we have been using are converge with many that have been mentioned before by the other partners, but we use them sometime in different way. So I've been working with virtual reality, augmented reality, creating the first immersive cubic VR space, early tools for sound spatialization, and also behavioral analysis for the relation to the public, behavioral design for the behavior of the artworks, tracking systems, electroencephalography for some recent projects where that became neurodesign, using the brain waves to affect affect shapes of abstractions, human abstractions and human values. Also, we have been working with robotics and GAN, of course, and many recent projects with AI, project with blockchain and NFTs, and the data mining with a tool that have been covering something like 20 or more than 25 years, called Economy, to analyze people behavior and convert it into data selection and everything related to data visualization in relation to that. So regarding the facilities, is slightly different because it's more on the conception side than specifically the research side, and at the same time, of course, this is research. So it's very often a partnership with institutions and with other partners of the project that give access to certain specific facilities. I'm also professor at the School of Creative Media, City University of Hong Kong. And of course, I have access to all the facilities there. That includes a lot of things for sound, for visualization, for VR, for all these things. So the idea is more if we have one or two projects that may be connected to what we do more specifically, which is a use case two, the one dedicated to mobility. In this case, we'll look for the appropriate partners in order to make this thing possible. A selection of projects. This one is Cosmopolis, that was presented in 2005 in China, with 12 screens making a big panoramas about city development, and 12 telescopes to explore 12 different cities around the world. Now, this is another project based on 360 video content related to the city. So it's called Hong Kong Escape Views, and it's an interactive artwork where people create a specific landscape by watching it. And this is what we see in the exhibition using the binoculars. A person is actually exploring the different panoramas and creating another one, a dynamic one, on the big screen. Urban installation with New Horizon, 2008 in Shanghai, Chongqing, Chengdu, and Beijing. And it's about converting the people into QR codes, and the QR codes becoming the city. This is one of the urban screen projects I've been working on. So this is more specifically a fleeting light event, biennial. That was a biennial about media art installation in the city. And this was a work by Jim Campbell on the ICC Tower that used to be the highest building in Hong Kong. No, the highest building in Asia, with 480 meters, and the biggest urban screens until a few years ago with sound. And so I invited something like 100 artists to present their work on the tower, and they could have the full visibility on that every night during 1 month. Also using robotics, the idea is to combine robotics with sound, high quality sound, with focal. It's a commission work, and the idea here is to have the robots playing human conflicts on a chessboard. And this is the most more recent work with Refi Canadol. We did 2 aliens, strangers, immigrants, that arrive in the city and that know nothing about the city, don't look like people, and try to learn everything from them, and to interact with the people, but also to interact between them. So it's about behavior analysis, body language, everything, even sound analysis and language learning. That's it.
Thank you, Maurice. I think regarding UC2, if the others have questions, we can discuss them on the Q&A session. I would like to move forward to the presentation of the Aristotle University. Hello, Kayopi.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I will. My name is Kayopi Balsamido. I'm part of the research cluster of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki that is called Innovative Environments. So Aristotle University of Thessaloniki is the largest university in Greece. We have several departments. We belong in the Faculty of Engineering. We are one of the 7 schools, the School of Architecture. And more specifically, our research unit belongs to the Architectural and Urban Design Department. And our mainly research focuses on several different projects related to academic or professional activities. And it has to do with the built environment, either interior or urban scale. This is the members of our group. It is led by Professor Anastasios Stelios, as you can see here. And our group is involved in several research projects, either national or international. We do several publications, and we take part in exhibitions or architectural competitions. And we are involved in academic courses, undergraduate or graduate ones. So we have design studios and the postgraduate program that's called Advanced Design, that we actually are able to incorporate our research projects into our courses. So more specifically in ReSilence, our research cluster is involved with the 3rd use case that is related to sound of the urban spaces. So here the goal is to actually work all together with artists and several new technologies such as machine learning, etc., in order to work on existing or future architectural urban spaces. Our group is also responsible for the definition of the user requirements and the challenges, and of course on the evaluation of the ReSilence developed solutions. Aside from that, our school has several facilities that can assist into creating 3D fabricated models. So we have CNC and milling machines, rapid prototyping 3D printers, vacuum forming machines, laser cutters, 3D scanners, VR headsets. Here we can see some of the machinery in our fabrication lab and some examples of models we have created using our machines. So on the right, we see a 3D printed prototype that was sent in the Venice Architecture Biennale of 2020. And on the other side, we have a model that was created using laser cutting. Here we have some of our academic courses that we also use in order to evaluate technologies that we develop during the course of research projects, as well as evaluation workshops, because it gives us access to a large community of either undergraduate or graduate students. So here we have works that have been created during other evaluation iterations of other research projects. Here we have the last one that was called Mind Spaces, and it was also related. It also involved artists such as Maurice, that he previously talked with us, and Refik Anatol. So here we have a project that was created during the end of the project and the last evaluation iteration that was developed by incorporating Refik Anatol's latent space explorer and architects' work, and it was finally evaluated by citizens of the area of Barcelona that the project actually concerned. And I think this is from us. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you are free to share them in the chat.
Thank you, Calliope. And we also have our last partner presenting now, Antonio from University of Genoa. Hello, Antonio.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I share my screen. Okay. I hope it works. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm from the Casa Paganini Research Center of University of Genoa. We are a small group in at the University of Genoa, mainly from the Polytechnic School, but we are characterized by several. We are 15, a group of 15 people, researchers from different disciplines, mainly from computer science and engineering, human-computer interaction, but also from cognitive science and the arts. So we are about 15. And I am the director of this research center. And the mission of our research center is about scientific and technological research on human-centered computing, multimodal systems, nonverbal emotion. And an important thing that I wish to emphasize is that art and humanistic culture are a fundamental source of inspiration for our research. So we are developing science and technology let's say research and systems, and for this development, for these aims, we since a long time, over 20 years, we are used to collaborate with artists. We had project with Luciano Berio in the 90s and early 20s at Teatro La Scala in Milano and at the Salzburg Festival, with Virgilio Sieni, an important choreographer, former director of Biennale Danza in Venice. And we participated with artistic institutions and opera houses, also at La Biennale in Venice, I mentioned, La Teatro La Fenice, and other, of course, in Genova, where we are. And also we had a museum project in science centers, and we are also used to work with cultural and creative industry. This is some an example of what we do. We work with dancer very often. This is on the relation between human and the virtual agent, the digital twin, hopefully. And basically, you can see in the slides that hopefully will be available. You can find also links to the projects, some of the projects that we participated into. And here are some of the projects we work at. This is the last one, Entainment, in which we collaborated with Beatrice, with Maastricht University. And this is an example of a project that we have recently released about the creation of a protocol and a system for active experience of visual art and using sonification. So you look at the visual painting, visual art by means of a sort of an embodied interaction. So you imitate the affective gesture in the painting, and then you receive visual and sonification and sound input related to a sonification of your movement qualities. That we participated and we released, developed technologies for teaching dance, for example, and dance qualities, the Holo Dance project. And this is a project that we did in the dance project, another European project in which we collaborated with Beatrice and with Maastricht on interactive sonification of joint movement qualities. Here is one of the performances at Palazzo Reale in Genova. Here's another EU project on the teaching violin. So how to support the learning of violin by means of analysis of movement qualities and in order to avoid problems and injuries. and also how to teach music to children without the need to teach the music grammar, but having an embodied relation with the music. This is a work that is another project that in which we worked in a direction similar to the one described by Melanie at Max Planck. So how to measure cues related to the empathy, we could say, or the entrainment of the leadership. So what does, which features are responsible for engaging and warm performance? So to have something that engage an audience. And so we did studies about measuring string quartets or orchestra section. We did a project also, we participated as partner with the project of the UK with Durham University on studying the same phenomenon instead of string quartets in Western music on from different culture, from Indian raga, for example. And we did also projects, you can see this the references on the active music listening. So how to experience and involve actively in the creation or manipulation or the sculpting of music. And so to have novel models of performance. This is the our site. We are our research center is located in a monumental building with frescoes and a former convent with a big church. You can see here during a session of motion capture, we have 16 camera. Now very shortly we'll have 20 cameras Qualisys motion capture systems synchronized with video cameras, microphones. For example, we use for analysis of respiration and study emotion and study joint actions, so social signals, empathy, cues about empathy, leadership. And also recordings and detecting also audio from music instruments and other sensors, wearables, and so on. We have multi-channel 3D audio in our system, in our premise. And we have developed an interactive sonification framework. So how to translate movement qualities, like, for example, fluidity, or impulsiveness, or let's say entrainment, so the syntony about and the social signals, how to translate into sonic qualities. And we have developed a platform, a software platform is a sort of modular visual environment which we used, and there are several libraries about emotion analysis, expressive movement analysis, full body, and multimodal analysis. This is basically the place where we are located, and which could be a place for doing, for example, proof of concepts or prototypes before going out in other sites, for example, in the Thessaloniki, wonderful places in case of a definition. This is just a scheme of our 200-seat auditorium, which is indeed not an auditorium, but it is our lab with the motion capture and the multimodal system. And the upper floor, which is completely open, so we can stay, where engineers can stay and see without being seen. And so we can do experiments and do also simulation of performance, like you see here dance and or music performances, also with audience and possibility to measure audience, possibly, hopefully, in collaboration with other partners. So I think that this is what basically what I meant to say, and we are very much interested in this kind in these directions in which we can exploit full body movement analysis, interactive sonification, and participating to projects in particular on the use case 3 and possibly the use case 1. We are involved in those two use cases. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. So yes, before we move forward to the presentation of Emmanuel and Hasib, who were residency artists in Mindspaces, I would like to say to you that, of course, this session is being recorded and you're going to find it online, because I understand that it was a lot of information that we shared with you. And we're also going to share some links with examples and everything we talked here today online on our website and also on the STARTS.eu site. And yeah, I hope that you were a bit inspired of what we showed to you and discussed. So Emmanuel, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nicole. Always a pleasure. Yes, so I mean, I have 5 minutes, so that's ridiculously short. So I will just basically show a couple of images and say what was my, walk you through my experience during Mindspace residency that started in 2020. And obviously the situation in 2020 made the residency a little bit complex to put into place. But I engaged, in very fruitful conversation with several of the partners, like Beatrice de Gelder from Brain and Motion Laboratory, Anastasia Mutsidou from ITI CERT, with which I've created one work. And then I worked also with the Department of Advanced Computing Science of Maastricht University with Alexia Briassouli and Rico Montule to produce another work. And like the body of reflection that started to construct through this dialogue helped me to create another work. And all of that has been like presented in an exhibition, a solo exhibition at HEC, the Haus für Elektronische Künste, try to say it correctly, in Basel. Which became like a partner of Mindspace. So I'm gonna show a little bit of my screen, like share. Yeah, voila. So basically, I was interested in, I've always been interested in performativeness of catastrophe or the choreography of disaster, let's say. So the Maastricht University had granted me access to technology of crowd tracking. And during that time in 2020, the revolt of Black Lives Matter was basically flooding social media with quite violent and extreme image. And some of the riots were particularly emphasized, like the looting, actually, probably to discredit the cause. And I got the idea of basically using the top-of-the-art tracking software and analytics of Maastricht University with the picture that I was harvesting from the web, which created an interesting line of conversation with about the ethic of using this technology with the scientist, and also about the ethic of me using, or the legality of me using these images, which turned out to have like interesting and unexpected response, because the researcher had basically a blank thing from Facebook, and so they are authorized of using for research purpose everything that's going through the platform. So that kind of resolved the ambiguity of using found footage images of violence that I gathered online. So you can see here basically the three treatments of the images that I made. Like this is the pattern recognition of character and individual and car. Sorry, the computer is a little bit lagging. And here you have, like now it's crashing, purely and simple. I suppose I will have to restart QuickTime. Yeah. But yeah, I'm already beyond 5 minutes. So another work that resulted from the residency was this contraption. It's a glass installation of black glass, empty screens, and the footage that are in the screens are reflected on the glass. You can peep through it through this, like this is another picture. And that was basically a sprawling 19-minute film built on all the research that I did and all the information that I gathered during the residency. So a lot of it is about technology that I managed to find on my own way beyond Mindspace, but some of them are also connected to things that I've developed visually while I was in residency there. And that concludes my short presentation. If you have any question, or it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel. I think very useful to see outcomes of such collaborations. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Hasib Ahmed is also here with us. He also was a resident artist in Mindspaces. Hello, Hasib. Hello, Hasib.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all today. I worked with a number of partners, as was mentioned, and what's nice is that at my current exhibition at Harlan Levy Projects, you can see some of the outcomes of those collaborations. So in particular, you'll see some artworks which were presented, which were made together with Alexander Shivets on the work which he also presented, where we were trying to draw, we trained an AI to search for correlations between emotional states and states of weather and of wind. So what happens when we project our inner states onto the outside world? How can we track the usage of meteorological phenomena as a metaphorical phenomena instead? So what happens between this shift when we project our humanity onto the world? And I produced 9 paintings out of this work. So that was one, and I feel like our conversation is still ongoing in a productive way. I, together with Up2 Metric, produced something called an interior weathers artwork, which was shown in 1708 Gallery in Richmond, Virginia, in which tried to create an artwork that created a chaotic weather system inside of a gallery by using weather sensors, air quality control sensors, that instead of, and also household appliances like heaters, air conditioners, dehumidifiers, humidifiers, which are normally used to stabilize air conditions within a space, but instead, in this case, we're trying to actually create a chaotic weather system and kind of equalize the relationship between the exterior and the interior of a building. I was particularly working with the second case, test case, which is relating to air conditions within offices. Furthermore, I began a work together with NeuroGames and also with BuildWind on using computational fluid dynamic modeling of air conditioning inside of office spaces, looking at how different air conditions turbulence patterns are created by the heat exchange between bodies and machines and HVAC systems, and how this can be used as a way to read something about the contemporary working conditions that we have today within office spaces. This is also produced during the period of Corona, which made the work relevant, but also very difficult to proceed with. And so this is something that we're still working on today, or I'm still working on. Then lastly, I took a couple of courses at McNeil, who are one of the consortium members, looking at how to create custom scripts in Rhino, inputting data from different kinds of sets, whether it be weather data or things coming from the air quality control sensors in order to generate 3-dimensional forms as a parametric model. And this is something which is still ongoing. So there have been some outcomes, there's been some research. And oftentimes when there is an exhibition as the final goal in mind, this is when the research comes into clear form. For me as an artist, and I'm sure for many others, that when the appropriate match between the exhibition context and the research fits, then the work kind of crystallizes in a certain way, which is always nice. Yeah, so those are my inputs of my previous experience at Mindspaces. Yeah, if there's any other questions, please let me know.
Great, Hasib. No, thank you. What you said at the end, I think is very important. The last thing that we would like to share with you, it's about the process of the application. I will share my screen, and Beatrice will proceed with the presentation.
Yes, so the stuff was a little bit abstract. Let's now move to something that hopefully is becoming a little bit more concrete, but I do understand that you will still have many questions and we have plenty of time for that. So let's proceed. So this is a timeline of this open call concerning the residencies. We are at stage of the webinar. And as you heard, the webinar is being recorded, so you can go back to that and clarify and get some clarifications about various aspects. So important thing we have to, and that's, I'm going to explain that in a minute. We have two types of, one call with two routes, two roads towards it. The simple version is an individual artist, and the budget for that is, I mean, these are budgets, of course, decided by the Commission, not by us. The budget for that is 40,000 K. This is a regular residence budget, and it's not very different from your usual artist residences connected to an institution or to a project. Then second, here it becomes a little bit more different. An individual artist can think of collaborating with small or medium enterprise. Okay, for example, when there is a specific technology, a very specific technology that is needed for the realization of the artwork, then an artist can say, look, can you help me find a technology? I'm thinking just a trivial example would be 3D printing. Maybe we don't have 3D printing expertise on the consortium. So when an artist says, look, I specifically need a big component of 3D printing, again, this is just an example, right? Then we as a consortium can will try to match that artist with the kind of technology that is needed. Okay, in that case, the artist can apply for the usual 40,000 K 40K for the residency, for his personal residency. He applies with an SME, and that SME can get 80,000, and 30,000 of the 80,000 have to go to the artist. Okay, and the third alternative is an artist applying already at the start, knowing which SME he needs for the work, and already applying at the start with that specific SME, or possibly with two. I mean, there's going to be many little questions about that, which we cannot totally all anticipate, right? Next, Nefeli. A couple of clarifications, as I said, an artist, an artist can also be a collective of artists. I mean, it can be 2 artists, can be 3 artists, can be 4 artists, but they function, of course, as a single unity. And the number of participants in this collective doesn't change the amount allocated, obviously. So that's in terms of like specifically for the case of music, but also for the visual arts, there can be the artist, the entity referred to as the artist can be a collective. And then companies, SMEs is defined as, these are European criteria, is defined as a company that employs fewer than 250 people and has an annual turnover of less than 50 million. I mean, these are bureaucratic criteria, right? Now, what do we expect to see in the application material? One, obviously, is the type of application the submission is about. Is it A, B, or C? Concerning the artist specifically, a description of the previous experience, previous activities, or current ongoing activities. That is standard for any application, of course. More importantly here, a component of the application should clearly state the motivation, the ambition, and very important, the relation to the project, the relation to resilience. And here we can be a bit more specific. The relation to resilience can be detailed at the same time in terms of which combination of one, two, or more of the specific partners in resilience, or also in parallel, it can specify the kind of technology that's needed. And sorry, let me be more specific here. So relation to the project as a whole, specified as a relation to a couple of partners, and specified as a relation to the user application. There are four main, we have mentioned them already. There are four main areas, and of course, all this is described on the website. Final point: the expected duration of the residency, and a bit of detail about the budget. Details about the budget, it doesn't need to be very explicit. Usual components are, of course, some residency expenses, equipment expenses, and things like that. Okay, so all that stuff together can be uploaded on the website at a detailed, it's a detailed website, right, Nefeli? Next.
Yes, online.
Is that the last one? Nefeli, is that the last slide?
No, we have also the selection criteria.
Yes, can you go on?
Okay,
so what are selection criteria? Proposals will be judged by on their pertinence to specific user cases defined, very generally defined in the project, the four of them. And obviously they will screened and evaluated on artistic quality. We all know how difficult that is to define, but we all sort of intuitively understand it. But of course, the jury will try to delve into that and relate it also to the spirit of STARTS, which is a combination of science, technology, and arts. An important point is, of course, the feasibility. That's one thing. A different important one is the dissemination and communication strategy. So an application should, of course, assess its feasibility, but also should have a dissemination and communication strategy. Okay. The goal is to end up with a clear work funded on this residency. Okay. And that's, of course, why we bring in SMEs and related technological partners. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Beatrice. I think we are at the end of what we have planned for you today. And we are going now to the Q&A session. So whoever wants to ask a partner can raise hand or write in the chat. I see that I will start with what has been written in the chat. So Maurice, I see that some artists are interested in this use case. So I don't know if you would like.
Well, I'm totally open to talk. We can discuss things now, which is a normal way to do the thing, so it's shared with everybody. I just say that if somebody want to discuss further a specific project, it's not the best time for me because it's now at 10 past midnight. So I'm not very fresh at this time. Sorry.
We understand that.
So maybe it's better, Nefeli, maybe it's better that people write. Maybe it's better that people write to Maurice for specific issues. But let's look if people have more general questions at this stage about the whole procedure.
Yes. So
Yes, I've got a pretty generic question, I think. The SMEs, so I learned now there's a budget on it. Is there like a way to work with, I don't know, car companies? Because it's really connected to because they're gonna be too big, eh? It's not a
Yes,
medium.
I was going to tell you immediately, car companies tend to have a turnover that's
Yeah, no,
big,
yeah.
unless you have a tiny little car startup. It's
Yeah. So it can be a spin-off or something. Yeah. Okay, I'll have a look.
No, it's a real question. Typically, in this kind of collaborative research project, big structure like car companies and so on are not supposed to get money from the project. You know,
Yeah.
there are more let's say contributors that are. No, when we talk about SME and so on, we talk about potential organizations, institutions, individual, not individual, but of course, small enterprise that want to support your project and maybe to do the production part and maybe help you to make the thing real. So this is related to some expenses for that. This is why there are a budget for them. But regarding, if you ask Mercedes if they want to, Mercedes-Benz, if they want to support you as an SME, they will just laugh. If you say, are you okay to find possibility of experimentation in your cars and with your collaboration, it's different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's more the second route. All right, thanks.
okay, thank you. I see that Alistair has raised his hand. No.
Hi, thanks for all those presentations. Really inspiring stuff. I kind of had two interlinked questions. I'm working with another artist and an SME, and both of them are not resident in the EU. Is that going to be a barrier? I mean, is this only open to EU-based artists?
No,
and
it's not, as the text clearly states, it's not limited to EU. There is not a constraint.
Okay, great. Okay, that's great. And I just wondered what the relationship is between a proposal with an SME and the partners here as part of the project. Are those proposed projects that are selected, are they expected to work with some of the partners here?
Yes, I mean, that's I'm sorry if our talks have not conveyed that clearly, but primarily you connect with a user case, one of the 4 user cases, which automatically is then a connection with a couple with a cluster of partners.
Okay.
So that's where the content, if I may say so, that's where the content comes from.
Right. Okay.
Or the inspiration, if you want to use more inspiring words.
Okay. All right. So
that's where you get your basic intellectual material.
I see. So that defines the project as opposed to what I see. Okay. All right. I'll look into it from that point of view. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question regarding the budget. Is there a desired ratio for production cost vs artist fee? Is the question. Yeah, I don't think that is a ratio. So how to?
No.
There is no.
You can specify that in the budget, but you're at the beginning, you're free to decide that yourself.
And is a question also about, I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly, it's about the payments. If we give 60% advance, Ante, please correct me if I didn't understand your question in the chat.
I don't get that question. Oh yes, the budget. But I see another question beforehand, if I take them in the order in my chat. So is it possible to merge PUCs? Yes. As I suggested as I mentioned, you can combine 1 and 4, or you can buy 2 and 3, you can combine that. I mean, these are really indicative of clusters of areas, right? So you can combine that. Now, Neferi, the question you came up.
It's another question also about budget. It's about if we pay with lump sum, or if we like ask everything like receipt, plane tickets, hotel bills, etc.
Well, it's a lump sum in the sense that in your budget you define, for example, for the case of 40,000, which is the easier case, you define that you want like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 to go to travel. Okay, in that case, you don't need to report any tickets, scanning, hotel bills. That's your business. Okay, but you should not, if you announce 5,000 for travel, you should not in your final reckoning, you should not have 25 for travel.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bea. Another question has to do with the artist SME again pair, and Francesco asked if he's an artist and also an SME, if he can ask to participate in the type C. No. So no, it's if you are one person, like, and you have your own SME, Bea, correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot apply like for type C. It should be like you an artist and find an SME.
Yeah. The combination with the SME, maybe this helps to clarify it, but I must admit that there are some very difficult cases. But the notion of bringing in an SME is to bring in external to your own artistic work or to your own artistic existence, let's just say. So if you're an artist that is an SME, then you can bring in another SME than your own, because you need to bring extra competence, extra skills in. Okay. But if you are an artist and SME, you cannot, as that single entity, combine your 40 and your 80,000 euros. Okay.
I'm taking
but the
now.
important point is that the SME construction is to bring in other partners that are not part of your artistic entity.
We may also add that this is an incentive to motivate an institution like institution where you could exhibit the work after, to get in the project and say, oh, look at this, you can get money to make it, to produce it, you support the project. And so that's a very good argument to work with a museum, to work with a place where you can present your thing. It has to be used that way.
Yeah. Well, as Maurice says, this is a very interesting, for some artworks, it's a very interesting possibility that you can actually go to an artistic institution or museum, whatever, and say, look, can you co-produce this work with me, and then show it, of course, and under these conditions.
It can be also the cultural services of a city or region. It's not an SME in this case. I don't know how it works, but just to say, yeah, it's not, in this case, it's not an SME. No, if you the people that represent a region or a city.
We have another question from Sylvia. Again, I'm not sure if I get it right, but for the type B category, you can name the institution or the technology that you would like, and then we will take on this matchmaking procedure. But I'm not sure if you mean that you can name for type B, it doesn't have to do with the consortium partners. So if you name a consortium partner, it doesn't make it like for a type B, if I got the question right.
Yeah, thank you. That was actually my question. So the SME doesn't need to be one of the partners, basically.
No.
The partner could be coupled in a second time.
The SME construction is to bring outside people into the project.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course, you cannot expect, you cannot say, well, I want to apply for an SME and I don't have one. I would like you go to the Louvre and tell them I'm bringing 180,000 minus 30%, and please do my show. I mean, that's not, so that SME construction is really full.
It may work, but not at all. Not every time.
SME construction is really for people who essentially need technologies, so production facilities, etc.
Okay, I see. Because I thought that the partner would also provide sort of,
No, it's good you raise that point, because some partners may indeed have good relations with SMEs that are not in the project. So we will, when we look for SMEs, when you look for matching, we will certainly first consult the partners, and specifically the ones you want to work with.
Okay.
But Sylvia is saying something else at the same time, which is what can be the contribution of the partners of the project. Of course, it's an additional contribution in relation to the research they are doing. So if what you bring is directly related to the research they are doing, they will support in a way this research by their facilities, by the technology they already master, the knowledge they have. Otherwise, it's probably better to consider that the SME is in charge of producing, let's say, the technical part, if necessary, if needed, of your projects. So I think it's important. Of course, it doesn't have to be something that could be done by a partner in the project, because in this case, it's probably easier. It's just up to you to see what is the best match. It's very flexible. There are plenty of things that are very flexible.
I see. Thank you for the clarification.
Can I take this occasion to reply to the question a bit further about from Lorenzo? So it's not you asking whether it's on the basis of the characteristics of the project that you will be assigned. No, you start yourself by looking at which partner or partners you want to collaborate with. We will not assign you to a partner. I mean, that's we hope that our menu of partners inspires you to choose one or two you want to work with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and I think an answer, we gave an answer about whether an institution, a research institution is SME. No, as far as I know, research institutions are not SMEs. I see that question. And what else? About the vehicle, electric vehicle and soundscape, Francesco asked with whom he made contact. As you understood, Maurice is more in charge in this case. So you can, of course,
I think this is it's a parallel process, because I'm in the process of exploring the potential collaboration with some brands, I still don't know if the brands have the makes, the car makes, have to be European, which is a question, because I'm sure there are many other companies that may be interested in this kind of collaboration. But of course, if you come with a partnership with a car make, I think a car maker, I think it's really a positive thing, of course.
Can I pick up a couple of questions about payment? Somebody asks, how does the reporting of costs work? I think we touched upon that. So in your budget, you have a division into types of costs, okay? And then you report without too much detail, but more or less conform the cost categories you indicated in your proposal. And related to that, yes, there is an advance. We will advance about 1/3 at the beginning of the contract.
That important point.
Yes. I see Hasib has a question about, I'm not sure that we mentioned that the SME cannot assist in the exhibition. I think that the SMEs can help in the production, right? And in the curation. So Hasib, I'm sorry if Hasib is hearing. We could come back to this question. Is it possible to cooperate with more than one SME? Paul asks.
I replied to that. I said yes.
You replied, okay.
But
okay.
the money doesn't change.
No, the money doesn't change. And Kadir asked, if we're a collective, should we apply individual or under the name of the collective?
Collective.
Yeah, the name of the collective. And
so you have to have the financial structure. If you apply as a collective, you have to have the financial structure, because the grant will will be paid to the collective, to the applicant.
Yes, right. So we have also one question regarding the portfolio. How important is the portfolio vs the idea of the work? This is a tricky question.
Well, yes, to come back, yes, the collective needs to have a structure in place. You cannot just make a collective on the fly. A collective is a legal structure, so you need to have or assign at least one individual then for the administrative and financial situations. I mean, if a collective consists of 4 people and they apply for, just as an example, they apply for 40K, then we will not send 10K to every of the 4 people. We will send 40K to the collective.
Or to one people that will distribute it.
Yes, but yeah.
If this is stated like that in the application.
It's, yes. About portfolio versus new idea, as Nefelli said, that's a tricky question. On the one hand, people, there is this notion that people don't change, right? So the old work is going to be somehow continuous with the new work. On the other hand, the notion of a residency is to do something new. So we all know what is meant by that, right? Okay. I mean, don't if you're a movie maker, don't become a sculptor for your project, but otherwise.
Okay. Thanks.
The idea also is that the portfolio is a way to demonstrate or to present the quality level of the work that you produce usually. So it's difficult to say that we don't pay attention to the portfolio. Of course we do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Now I made more products, like physical products, than art in the last, I don't know, couple of years. So it's good to know.
It may not be a problem, you know, if your product is a system for cars to get a good sound.
Yeah. Wow. It's off in the direction.
No, just forget what I said. It's not off the record.
All right, thanks.
There was one question. There was a question about questions. Where can you obtain more information? And Feli, the answer is you write to the email address of the project, right?
Yes, I will write it here in the chat, but you can also find it in the
Of
website.
course, you can. If you have specific questions, you can write
Yeah.
to a specific partner also.
Yes, you can also ask and follow us on our social media, and you can ask there, and we can redirect you to the page that you need to go, because the contact email is also on our website and the open call section. So there you can see all the information and the contact email and everything. But if you need some more information on who to contact, for example, you can also contact through our social media networks.
And we also have a question, let me see, from Lorenzo, if he can apply as an artist duo, but we only have individual portfolios. Is that possible? So you are a duo, but you don't have yet work as a duo, you have work as an individual artist, right, Lorenzo?
Exactly. Is our case, yes.
I think that should work.
It shouldn't be a problem.
That shouldn't be a problem, huh?
Perfect.
This is how duos work. Starts. I mean, start.
Exactly.
I paste in the chat the ReSilence mail, so you can pose your questions there. As Beatrice said, if you have more specific questions to specific partners, you can also contact them. And we also have a question from Felix that the SME and or exhibition partner needs to be European. No, Bea, correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Yeah. As we said, the call is open to, it's worldwide open, so it can be anyone from everywhere. You're welcome. I think we came to an end. I don't know if I forgot any question, please raise your hand, or if anybody else has questions, please let us know. We have like a couple of minutes to answer them.
I can also share our website to everyone if they don't know already, so they can go there and see all the information you might want to see about the open call and more details about the use cases and challenges.
Yes, thank you, Kayopi.
Hi, I just wanted to add, I was just looking around the website and following from my previous question, I was checking on the calls and the use cases, and it sounded from your response to me that there were specific institutions related to specific use cases. Is that? But I couldn't see that on the website. Is that on the website?
It's
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay. So, sorry, go on.
Because most partners are involved in more than one of the user cases, of course. So there is no strict like. I mean, the goal of these projects, and that's the good thing, is to maximize interaction between the people. So that is really to generate interactions for between the partners also. So we are not used to work together with each other either. So that's good. That's good for you to know. So we have all to go through this experience of enriching each other through these interactions.
I guess the reason I was asking is it sounded as if the proposals, the ones you're looking for, are ones that can work with the actual partners themselves, you know, which are aligned with what the partners do and their capacities and technical facilities. Am I right in thinking that, or I expect?
Just maybe this would help you. Like we have partners responsible for these use cases, as we say.
Yes.
So yes, this is clear. But apart from that, all partners can work in each use case. That's why we haven't like put it strictly there in the website.
Okay.
But yes, if it helps, we can like put on its challenge who partner is responsible and work there, and then like, but it's not limited to this partner. That's what I'm trying to explain.
No, I understand that. My point is simply that when we're looking at a proposal and a concept to put in here, it feels as if it needs to have some awareness of the kind of partners involved in it to work with them. You know what I mean? And it just feels as that's good information to have. I mean, to make sure that the concept we have it may be wonderful, but it may be absolutely nothing to do and fit the use case, but actually may not really fit with partners and what their facilities have, what their technical capabilities and interests are. Does that make?
It may be something we add on the website in the description of the different use cases to say what are the different partners that are involved in each.
That might be useful if that's going to be relevant when you're submitting a proposal.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you.
But also, I don't know if that's, I would like to add, but it's not restrictive. Like if you choose to work, for example, in the second use case, and there are 5 partners involved in that, doesn't mean that the partner from the third use case cannot involved also in yours. So it's not something that is so strict that you have to work with these 5 people that are involved in the second use case. So it's quite broad. You can collaborate, as Bea said. It's also a matter of collaboration. You can work with anyone. So most of the partners work on more than one just use case. So
Right.
it's not restrictive to. It would be good, of course, to know who's possibly leading a use case as an information, but it's not. It doesn't. I don't think it adds anything to know exactly who the people are working in this use case, because it's not restrictive.
Okay.
And you might be interested in technologies that someone has on the fourth use case, and you would like to utilize those for the second. So that's not restricted for you to not. Yes, Ben.
What we will do early on, once the selection is made, is bring everybody together with all the partners and really give a complete overview that maybe things you haven't thought about, because they'll come out in a discussion about. So we're going to clarify. We couldn't do that in the previous project because of COVID, but in this one now, we will bring people together, and you will see possibilities of interaction with partners you hadn't thought about before, technologies you hadn't thought about before. So that's all perfectly feasible.
Okay.
We should plan on that, by the way, in the valley quite early on, in April or so.
Lorenzo also asked if the artist needs to communicate at the time of the submission with which partners they would like to collaborate.
Yes, I would say yes, but it's not final. You may change your mind. I mean, not change your mind radically, but you may see new opportunities once you start on this.
And Valentine asks if, as an artist, as an artist, can you be affiliated with one of the consortium partners? So if an artist can be affiliated with one of the consortium partners.
What do you mean by affiliated?
Affiliated is ambiguous.
Yes.
Employee.
Employee. An employee, that's the max of affiliation. That is tricky. We hadn't. It's good to be confronted with one we hadn't thought about. Huh?
Yeah, related may be okay. Affiliated is maybe problematic.
Well, we have to think over this one. In any case, you should list it, and then we have to look into constraints about conflict of interest. The usual ghost in all these applications. There should not be a conflict of interest. But at the first sight, it sounds okay to me. But we'll have to make sure that there is no issue there. Okay.
Okay. I think if we don't have anything else, we can close it for today. We will also we will also prepare a Q&A document where we will also put in words in a paper this session, so you can also go back and visit it, and also for artists that couldn't be here today, this would be very helpful. As I said, we will also prepare some links for you where you can find more information about our research. All of these are going to be uploaded to the website that Calliope shared. Calliope, have you shared also the SATS.eu website?
No, but I will also share that.
And we also gonna post information about the call on the SATS.eu website as well. And you can, of course, write us the questions in the mail that we provided to you, the email of the project. And that's from my side. Thank you very much for being here. I hope that you got some inspiration and that we will receive like very nice projects and proposals from your side. I want also to thank everyone from the ReSilence team for doing this, and we be in touch.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you. Bye-bye.